All right. Hello, traders. Mark P. Markets here. Thank you for joining me for another live stream. Hold on, let me just adjust my microphone. Hopefully the sound is improved today. Made some adjustments. Let me know if the sound is still a little off so I can adjust it further. Anyway, so I'm simulcasting today on TradingView. So, I have to stay within the house rules. Now, what I want to do today, again, is talk about Bitcoin, the stock market, gold. I want to try to keep that analysis within about 15 minutes, and then I want to spend the rest of the time on your questions. So if you can share your question in the chat now about a stock or an altcoin, whatever it is that you want to see, share it in the chat. So when I get to the chat portion, I can have it there and I can answer it. Okay, so great. And I see a lot of questions on this channel here. Thank you again very much for asking them. Okay, hold on a second here. I'm having a technical, oh, that's weird. Okay, hold on. What's this thing giving me a hard time for? Just give me 1 second here. Let me just, hold on. Let me try this again. Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah, okay, that should be working now. All right, so let's get started. All right, so this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right, now, today is Monday, right? And here, let me get my chart up so you guys can see it. Hold on a second here. All right. Oh, where's my chart? Okay, hold on. You would think I know how to use the software by now, right? But it's like, nope. Okay, hold on. Let me turn this off. There we go. Okay. All right, so today's Monday, which means I have to go over the news real quick. Again, I apologize for the technical problems here. Okay, there we go. TradingView's acting strange. Hey, Byte Federal over at TradingView. Thanks for joining me. Nice to see you guys. They put me on a big screen there. All right, anyway. Okay, so let's go over the news first. Have to do that real quick. It's very important that we do that because especially for like Forex traders and stuff like that, you want to be aware of what economic news is scheduled for the week. All right, cool. So again, just sorry I'm getting things started here. All right, so here we go. So first thing I'm taking a look at here is the economic calendar. TradingView has its own economic calendar, so I suggest you check that out. I'm seeing some kind of problem here on TradingView. I don't know what the problem is, but all right, hopefully that can resolve itself. But if not, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to fix that now. It keeps going off, so I'm not sure why. Let me see if I can restart that. Can I? Okay, no, I'm just going to leave that alone. Maybe it'll come back on. Okay. So anyway, economic calendar. Here we go. So at 9 a.m. we have, let me see, that's today, right? 9 a.m. That was for the British pound. We have the Bank of England, Governor Bailey's speech. Then at 9:30 p.m. that's tonight. We have Australia RBA meeting minutes. These are not big. This is not really a big deal. At 6:15, which is tomorrow. We have for the pound, ILO unemployment rate and claimant count change. Again, I wouldn't worry about those numbers. For Germany, harmonized index of consumer prices. Those aren't big market movers, okay? Also, we have Governor Bailey's speech also at some point tomorrow. These are usually like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. Eastern time, okay? Also, we have retail sales for the U.S. We have retail sales control group and retail sales. That's usually at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so that's all the retail sales numbers. That could possibly, if there's any inflationary surprises, that can move the market somewhat. So it's just good to be aware of. Again, you can't trade off these numbers. Also, we have retail sales for China on tomorrow. On the 16th, consumer price index for the pound. Bank of Canada consumer price index, that's on the 16th. Again, those aren't big numbers. Then we have Fed monetary policy statement, okay, on the 16th, and the Fed interest rate decision, FOMC press conference. That is important, okay? Hold on, let me see if I can fix something here on TradingView. This thing is not working, and I'm not sure what the problem is. Hold on. Okay, it's telling me that it's streaming. Let me just try to restart the stream. Hold on a second here. I hope I can turn it back on. Let's see. Uh, hold on a second here. I just turned off my stream, I think. Oh, the TradingView people are going to be unhappy. Yeah, this thing's a mess. All right, I can't get back on there either. All right, anyway, so I'm going to have to just deal with that. All right, so anyway, so like I was saying, FOMC meeting minutes. This is very important. All right, this is important because if there are any talk of interest rate hikes, any surprises, anything like that, the market can move in a dramatic way. And that really all begins with the US dollar. All right, hold on a second there, okay? That begins with the US dollar, and that's what you have to be careful of because it can affect everything, all right? The US dollar has been acting very strange. Now, another important point about FOMC meetings is, again, you can't really trade them because the prices overreact. It's usually like a big mess. And you really want to see how the day closes and how the next day trades. But also, going into the meeting, volume can dry up, and that could be very problematic. So usually it's best to stay out or to avoid any kind of major positions and stuff like that going into such a meeting. All right, so very important. So that's Wednesday. All right, let me get back to my calendar here. Then we have, let me see, that's the 16th. Then we have New Zealand. What do they have? They have their GDP. Then Governor Royal Bank of Australia, Governor Lowe speech. Okay, then they have the unemployment rate. Those are probably in the evening sometime. I'm guessing probably 8 o'clock, 8:30, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Then on the 17th, we have Switzerland. They have their interest rate decision and their monetary policy statement. I mean, the dollar franc, you know, it could affect that pair, but it hasn't had much of an effect. Also, Bank of Japan this week on the 17th. A lot of interest rate decisions. Okay, so things can get a little strange as the week goes forward, you know, with that kind of stuff. But the main one is going to be the FOMC meeting. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay, from the Fed. All right, anyway, so that's that. I want to cover that real quick. Again, you should check out your own economic calendar and just be aware of those reports. I always like to look at them because, again, something like FOMC, you know, that can help you prepare, especially when it comes to evaluating risk. All right, so let's now go to Bitcoin. I see a lot of questions in the chat here on YouTube. Thank you guys for your great questions, and I will get to them. Okay, let me see. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, I'm just really concerned about this TradingView situation because it completely locked me out. Hold on, is there any way I can fix this? I guess not. Hold on a second. I would like to simulcast because, you know, a lot of people expect that. Let me see something here. Can I do this? No, it's like, all right, it's totally like, get out of here. All right. Okay, never mind. Okay, so mic volume's still too loud. Okay, let me see if I can adjust that. I can do something about that here. Let me see something. All right, I'm going to lower that a bit. I thought I had adjusted my mic volume, but I just lowered it a bit more. So maybe that'll come out better for you guys. Again, thank you for the feedback because, again, sound quality is important here. You know, it really helps when there's pleasant sound. Okay, so I lowered my sound. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin. Then I want to talk about the stock market. Then after that, I want to talk about gold real quick. All right, so Bitcoin. We sent out 2 trades, okay? We sent out one trade, about a week ago, a little less than a week ago. That was off this pin bar right there. And that trade is working out, okay? It went to its first target pretty quickly. Now, I sent out a second trade. I sent it out yesterday evening, and it was based on this candle right here, off the higher low. I talked about this scenario. I talked about it in my TradingView articles. I've talked about it in other places. And we got the higher low, okay? Now, a situation like this is what I have to point out about this. Stepping in front of this, it looks easy after the fact. Like, oh yeah, you could have just bought there and it would have went your way. Well, this candle, look at the size of this candle. This candle, I'm too quiet now. All right, hold on. I'm going to raise my mic. I'm going to raise my volume a bit. Okay, that should fix that. And let me see. Yeah, okay, I'm going to raise this one bit. Okay. And let me move my mic closer too. That can always help. Here, I'll move my microphone a little closer. All right. Again, thanks for the feedback. Here, I'll put this over here. All right. Maybe you guys can hear me better now. Okay. The input up to the mic is too high. Even if you're quieter now, you are still distorted. Oh. Okay. All right. Hold on. It's the microphone. Ah. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I'm just gonna here. Let me just do this. I'm gonna maybe what I need to do is here. I'm just gonna do this for now. Before I don't want to get too caught up with this. Okay, all right. I'm just going to leave it there, and then I'm going to mess with that input another time. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin because again, I can't broadcast for 2 hours. You know, I talk a lot. So this Bitcoin situation, right? Now I saw someone in the chat earlier. Someone put here, my Faru says we're going to 80K, right? That's hilarious. Go forth and multiply, because you're going to get all kinds of reactions in this situation. And although, I mean, is 80K impossible? It's not impossible, but the thing is, the probability is low. All they can see is a bullish candle, right? So anything can happen, but I would not bet on those type of expectations. Our profit targets are much lower than 80K. You know, and maybe in 2 years, right? You see, I was right 2 years ago. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Anyway, so my point is this. We sent out 2 trades, but before these 2 trades, we had no trades for about 3 weeks. That's a very important point that I have to make, because people come looking for trades and they think that we call trades every day, and the market doesn't provide that type of opportunity on the swing trade basis. You know, if you're talking about day trades, that's a different story. We don't day trade. So it's very important to understand what you're dealing with here with swing trades. People still don't know the difference, and I've talked about it a million times. Okay, so the point is here we have 2 trades in play. We have the main one and we have an alternate one. I called the alternate one because people missed the main one. They had an opportunity to get in on the higher low. But again, this is the point that I want to make about the higher low. This situation right here, this large candle, you couldn't just buy into it until it closed. This candle closed pretty strong, okay? And that's part of the risk you have to take. You have to let that candle close. If you don't, this candle could have turned into like a pin bar and it could have just turned on you, right? That's why it's so important to wait for the confirmation. I sent out the trade slightly earlier, about an hour earlier before the close, because I figured it's close enough, right? So anyway, here we are now. We're getting a bearish pin bar now, possibly off of this attempted breakout, but there's nothing to do here. The candle isn't closed yet, okay? If it can close strong, anything can happen between now and 8 o'clock. So if this thing closes strong, fine, let the market do its job. If it closes like this and we take out the low, that would actually turn into a sell signal. But I'm not going to make any adjustments to that. We have a stop in place. That's the risk that you took, that you assumed when you got into the trade. If you can't assume that risk, or if you're not comfortable with the risk, you shouldn't take the trade at all. That's about 5,000 points of risk, okay? And it should be 1%. We put 1% trades. In fact, here, I can show you. Can I pull this up real quick? The Bitcoin trade idea. This is the idea. Let me see. Where is it? I have it on my chart here. I should have it on my chart. Where is it? Where'd it go? It was on my chart. It's gone. I don't know what's going on here. That's XBT. Oh, no, it should be here. Here it is. Okay. So, I mean, that's the idea right there, okay? So we sent it out. You can't take this now. I mean, things in play. But that has 5,000 points of risk. So, like, my point is, if you can't take that kind of risk, you shouldn't take the trade at all. Even if the trade works out, you shouldn't take the trade. Now, there's an interesting question here that I just want to address real quick from Ian, because this sort of touches on that. He has a huge problem trying to find invalidation scenarios on trade ideas. And he says that he often gets a 50-50 balanced perspective, and then he gets stuck, not sure what to do, right? That's a common problem. Now, the thing is, it really, when you're in those situations, because look, a lot of times, if the market, first of all, with Bitcoin, there was really nothing 50-50 near the 30K support area, right? We know generally in this area we want to be long. We know that. We're just waiting for the market to confirm that, okay? So we know, for one, there are no shorts, right? So that cuts half the equation. We don't short Bitcoin, especially at lows. So that erases half the equation right there. We want to know that we're interested only in longs. And then we have to wait for buy signals. And then after that, it's all about risk. So, you know, is the trend, which way is the trend going is an important thing. Now, people confuse this and they'll say the trend is bearish, but this trend is not bearish. The momentum is bearish slightly, but the broader picture is still bullish. this 30K is a higher low. That's bullish. So that's an important factor right there that should really weigh on the decision. The second thing is the momentum is bearish, so it's going to be a little tougher to get into this unless you wait for momentum to change, okay? So that 40K break was a change in momentum. Now depends on, can we follow through? So we'll see. If this thing can close strong, that's a great sign. If it does not close strong and we get the sell signal, I'll be looking for another higher low, okay? Or maybe this thing goes to the stop, and that's that, right? But that's the risk. So that's really the thing you have to look at, is the risk. And if the risk is unacceptable, right? Even if the market goes your way, if the risk is unacceptable, you shouldn't take the trade. Okay, it's that simple. This is not about the market going your way. It's about the risk. The market going your way is, what the market should do if the market agrees with you. You can't control the market, but you can control risk, right? That's really the answer to that. So people are always caught up with, but I could have made money, and they're all tied up on the reward part. But that's the wrong part to be tied up on. That's why no one makes money. It's really about the risk. And if the risk is acceptable, then you take that trade. And if you lose, that was the risk that you took. If you can't take the risk, shouldn't take the trade. Okay? So it's that simple. All right. So good question there. All right. Let me. So that's Bitcoin really. So as far as this thing goes, look, we're looking for the trade to do its job now, and that's the best we can do. It's up to the market. We can't do anything from here. We did our part. Okay. Now let's talk about the stock market real quick. NSX USD. Now, this is a little of a conflicted situation, right? So we have a strong stock market today. The high on this thing, this is the CFD, right? The high is 14,072. Right now, this thing's at 14,067. It's fooling around on its high, and it's a pretty strong candle. This thing's up 74 points today, right? But look at this. It's inside of this reversal zone. So people don't recognize that and this and that. Well, who cares? It's inside of a rectangle. So what? Well, it's a high vulnerability. That's the problem with it. So the FANG stocks, I was looking around earlier. If you look at the FANG stocks, Amazon. Okay, look, Amazon. Okay, nice. Amazon. Google. How about Google? Okay, on its highs. Okay, what else? Apple. Okay, Apple. Apple's strong today. I mean, okay, some other tech stocks. NVDA. Okay, NVIDIA on its highs. So this is going to suck a lot of people in. It's going to get everyone excited about tech stocks. And they're going to be like, yeah, tech is going higher. Market's going to rally forever, right? It's going to suck a lot of people in. But here's what people are probably not looking at. Goldman Sachs. Let's take a look at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is the biggest investment bank in the world. It's red today. 7 points. What's up with that, right? Banking, financials, that's not good, okay? How about Bank of America? Everyone knows Bank of America. That's not good. What is that? Okay. How about energy? Let's take a look at some energy stocks. VLO, Valero. This is a representation of energy stocks, right? Which are big. Financials and energy are big segments or components of the S&P. Red. Okay. It's red. It's not red by a lot, but the point is these things aren't pushing highs. So here's my point about the NASDAQ. As much as a party they want to throw, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, stock market is an investment. It's safe. You just buy stocks and you'll be okay. Open up your Robinhood account and just buy stocks. Okay? You're buying right into a potential high. And if the S&P can't go, this is not going anywhere. All right? It's all pretend. It's like how the altcoins act with Bitcoin. Sometimes the altcoins try to go on their own, but then Bitcoin lets everyone know that they don't go on their own, right? Because Bitcoin pulls back, and then all the altcoins turn red, and no one can figure out why. My altcoin is supposed to go up to 100 from $10, my guru said, and I don't understand, right? It's the same idea. So this is not going to go very far. I don't care how optimistic everyone is. I don't care what the news is saying. I don't care what Cramer is saying. I don't care about any of that stuff. It's in a vulnerable area, number one. Number two, the S&P is not agreeing, okay? So the SPX, here's the SPX. This is the S&P 500 CFD. This is a very important point. This S&P is not agreeing, and we just looked at some potential reasons as to why. Banking and energy are not agreeing. This is a potential double top. This bearish pin bar, it's very small, but if we take out this low tomorrow, that's a sell signal. How is it that the NASDAQ is pushing highs and the S&P is red? They should be moving together. That's the normal behavior. So if they're not moving together, there's something wrong here. It's a red flag. So that to me means high risk for stocks. I am not interested in stocks. Any type of long-term type of stock, unless it's a non-correlated stock. I mean, like stocks like CGC, which is not even doing well today. Look at this piece of garbage. Coin is going to be strong because of Bitcoin, right? But these are examples of uncorrelated stocks to the S&P. What's another uncorrelated stock? Stocks like car gurus, right? I mean, look, we called this as a trade of the week a few weeks ago. Didn't do very well. In fact, I don't think it became active. It actually took out the stop before it actually took out the buy stop. So the trade never went into effect. But the point is, it's an uncorrelated stock, right? And that's really what I'm more interested in this type of environment. It's either that or you day trade these things, because that's who's going to make the most money in this situation and not get caught in the broad exposure or the risk, right? The higher this thing goes, the higher risk of retrace. That's what you have to watch out for. So look, again, I'm not calling for a market top in a bear market. I'm just saying I don't buy highs, right? And this is a representation of NASDAQ stocks. So not interested. I want to buy a support, okay? Strong market as support, not a resistance. And this is a resistance, especially that the S&P is not agreeing with it. The Dow is also red today. Okay, so again, people are going to come up with their explanations. Well, you know, sector rotation and, yeah, the funds are moving money into blah, 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 right? Nonsense. If they can't move together, there's a problem, right? That's a technical problem, and we'll see how that plays out. So I'm not interested in stocks. All right, so let's talk about gold real quick. And again, I'm going to get to your questions. I appreciate everyone's questions. I really apologize for that TradingView situation. I don't know what went on with the link there. I got to figure that out. Okay, I'm sure there's a lot of people are going to be upset now. Okay, anyway, so I called a swing trade on gold the other day, and it completely failed. Completely failed. All right, 30-point stop and went straight to the stop. It's straight there. Stop this out. That's part of the game, right? That's why we put a stop. In fact, it went 20 points lower than the stop. The stop was 1869 or whatever, and this thing went as low as 1844. Hey, you know, that's the market. No problem. Am I bearish on gold? No, I want to buy gold. I'm just not going to step in front of it just yet, but I'm looking to get back in for a swing trade. In fact, look, here's the trade idea right here. Okay, so 1899, it went to 1869 and stopped out. But we only had 1% of the account at risk. That's another important factor here. We don't sit there and risk 50% of the account. We risk 1% per trade. Okay, so if this turns in, this is right now looks sort of like a bullish pin bar, except the open to the close is still a little wide. But the thing is, this can turn into a new buy signal, especially off this 1850, 1840 support area. So this is a great one for the radar, all right, for another long. And I'm willing to get right back in. By the way, this is a mini wave 4. This is a mini wave 4. All right, that's taking place right here. Now, what nice thing about gold is if you look at these stocks, they're not getting beat up as badly as gold. All right, look, Wheaton Precious Metals. Look at AG, First Majestic Silver. They're not pulling back dramatically. Okay, that's the great thing about gold mining. Newmont Mining, not so bad, not so bad. So there's going to be some buying opportunities, right, when these things turn around. Or this is not even a bad place to pick up some small inventory because you're buying a pullback in something that's still generally seasonally strong, right? Gold at least has a couple more months in it before the seasonality starts to turn against it. And this thing can run to 1950, possibly 2000 in that time. So I'm still optimistic about gold, okay? And I'm willing to get back into the CFD. So I'm pointing this out because it could be an opportunity. If you don't have any gold mining stocks, at least here you're buying a pullback. You're not buying the highs. The key to that, though, is the sizing. If you don't understand what that means, then don't do it, okay? All right, so that's the things I wanted to cover. How am I doing with time? Oh, I'm a little over on the time, but I had some technical problems. All right, so let's talk about your questions, okay? Now, I could spend all my time on your questions because I don't have TradingView questions today. All right, so let me see. So I answered Ian's question, all right? And Alex, what evidence would you look to confirm that bearish momentum is no longer in play? Okay, Alex, that's a good question. So let's go back to Bitcoin. And again, I think I talked about that slightly earlier. We need to see the clearance of resistance, right? So in bearish environments or bullish environments, let's talk about bearish, often resistances hold, okay, and supports break. Well, over the previous 3 weeks here, 4 weeks, Support has held, which is not characteristic of bearish momentum. We should have seen a lower low. There's no lower low here. Some people will argue and they'll say, oh, but there is a lower low. This low over here is lower than this low, but that doesn't count. It's a bullish pin bar and it's slightly lower. That's not a lower low. It's a failed low. It failed. If it had closed strong, okay, and closed meaning this thing was at 29K, that would be a lower low. Okay, this is not a lower low. So failed to go lower, and now we're pushing resistance. That's a sign right there. Now we need to close. We're right now at what? What's the price of this thing? 39.2. So this thing, it would be nice if it can close above 40K. If we get the bearish pin bar instead, that's not great. That's why I told people don't chase this thing, especially here. It's in failure territory, but it doesn't mean it will fail. Also, the other thing is if we get the bearish pin bar, you know, it could still lead to another higher low. So my point is this. You ask, how do we confirm? Well, it needs to close decisively above 40K. It's made an attempt, but it's not decisive yet. Okay, so that's why I always tell people, wait for the close, and we'll see. This can turn into another fake out. All right, so again, you have to let the market tell you. Right? A lot of people are looking to try to outguess the market, but all you have to do is wait, and the market will eventually give you an answer. Okay, so let's see here. That's a good question. All right, coming to you from, Tuscaloosa. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you want to share what country you're from, it's just a fun thing we like to do here. I always love to hear what countries or states or wherever you are from. Love to hear where you're from. Okay, I'm broadcasting from the New York area, northern New Jersey, in case you didn't recognize my accent. You know what they say. It's hard to be humble when you're from Alabama. And it's hard to lose money. Oh, I like that. That's nice. I didn't know that about Alabama. Okay, Jackie, if Bitcoin is in wave 4, will it take out 43,000? All right, so so I just answered the question about gold. All right, so we have to wait on the gold long, but I'm still interested in buying gold. I need the confirmation. If Bitcoin is in a wave 4, will it take out 43K? Now, so that's a good question, because wave 4, what is the range of this broad magnitude wave 4? Well, here's what we're expecting. 30K is obviously the low of the range, and I'm expecting 50K as the range high. Right? Why 50K? Because that was a pretty heavy duty support previously. So I'm expecting that to act as a pretty heavy range resistance. Now, I could be wrong, all right? But that's where I'm anticipating the wave 4 to assert its bearishness again. Again, wave 4s are very erratic, and they usually don't progress the trend, the bigger picture trend. And again, so I'm speaking of gold, I have to point this out again. The broad wave 4 on gold, because people are wondering, well, how long can this wave 4 go on for? Well, the one in gold went on for 8 months. So we have this range. You see the high up here? That's the August high, and it found its bottom in March. Okay, that was about 8 months, and you can see in between that time there were many attempts to go higher. It made new lows. It was all over the place, right? That's a typical wave 4, and it went on for 8 months. So to answer your Bitcoin question, again, I'm looking at 50K as that range high. Maybe it breaks higher. It's possible. Maybe we go back to the mid 50s, but I think 50K is a decent probability. That's why our targets are below that, most of them. We have some targets above 50K, but those are like low probability. But hey, it's like you never know, right? Give the market a chance, because the broader trend is bullish, right? So that's why we put those aggressive targets out there sometimes. So the thing is, that's where I'm expecting the range high to develop. So 43K is definitely within reason, all right, in that scenario, if this thing wants to gyrate between there and like 30K again. All right, so just something to keep in mind there. All right, now, by the way, wave 4 doesn't mean that 30K is the bottom. Right now, it's the bottom. 30K, if 30K is challenged and it breaks, we could see 20K. I'm not saying that will happen, because I know, like the guy mentioned the fake guru earlier, they like to make predictions, and they like to say, it's going to be here by this time, and blah, blah, blah. It's about being prepared for potential scenarios, right? So 20K is still a possibility, just not a very high one. The possibility would increase if we take out 30K. You need to be prepared for that type of scenario if we see it. So again, it's really about, assessing the risk and then adjusting to the new information. What are we adjusting? The risk, right? So we have to see how that goes. But I'm saying that because you need to keep that within your range of expectations. Don't sit there and think, okay, the bearish part is over, we should be at 100K in a couple of months. Not a good idea to think that, okay, especially in a wave 4. The wave 4 bottom may be 20K. All right, so that's a good question. Let me see what else I got here. Okay, so ETH BTC, let's take a look. ETH, so ETH, Ethereum against Bitcoin, okay, crosspair. I don't like crosspair charts, and the reason is they're dependent, these type are dependent on two unstable currencies. Bitcoin is not stable, and neither is Ethereum, right? So after the fact, you're going to say, oh, but there's a level here, there's a level there. It's really going to be dependent on the base, which here is Bitcoin, right? And it's really how fast they're moving against each other. So if Bitcoin, for example, goes higher, faster than Ethereum, this chart will actually go lower. So, you know, that's the thing with these, right? So the levels aren't going to be very reliable. If you want to play this game, you know, you can look at these levels, these supports where there appears to be support, but I have to warn you, it's going to be very random and very erratic. You're better off looking at Bitcoin itself against a stable currency like the dollar or, you know, Tether or something like that, a stable coin, not against something like Ethereum. Okay, so again, that's why these charts, you know, ETH, BTC, I don't really think they're very reliable. All right, so just something to keep in mind there. If you want to look at the chart by itself, look, you can argue that there's some support at 0.55 Bitcoin, whatever, and it's trying to give you a little pin bar, but I don't put any weight on that. Okay, so thanks for mentioning that. Okay, Ayad, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Hey, Ramana. Can wave 4 correction be ABC correction with wave B higher? We had that. We recently had that. If so, what is the maximum wave B? Okay, so let's talk about that. That's a very tricky wave 4. Tricky wave 4. Okay, so tricky wave 4 has actually been going on a lot longer than people think. People think that wave 4 started here, but that's actually the confirmation of it. Wave 4 started here at 65K. Wave 3 finished back here, okay? And then we have our A wave, our little mini 3-leg A wave there. Then we have our bullish corrective B wave, which gets everyone really excited right at the peak. And then, you know, then we get our first C wave. Now, this is the first part of wave 4, right? But this is obviously a compound correction. So we have right here this connecting wave, and then we have this mess, right? So that's wave 4 doesn't have to, there's no guarantee it's going to be a simple ABC. That's the ideal Elliott wave structure, but a lot of times you can get compound waves. That's where it's very confusing. So instead of getting wrapped up in all that, what I do is I just want to know generally, are we in generally a wave 4? If the answer is yes, which, and this thing confirmed when it broke 50K and then 40K. Okay, I figured 40K would hold and that would be our range 4 low, but then it went to 30K. So I was wrong about that, but the point is this. If I can argue that this thing is in a wave 4, then all that means to me is I can adjust expectations, right? It means I expect heavy resistances to hold because we're no longer in a trend. Wave 4 is a corrective type of move, right? And so that means over the next year, until this thing proves otherwise, I'm looking for resistance areas to basically assert themselves, and I'm looking for support areas to assert themselves, okay? But I'm talking about major ones, 30K, 40K, and 50K, right? Those are the levels right now. Anything, like if you look at a 4-hour chart, you're going to have people with their 30-minute charts, and they're going to be arguing, oh, but there's a support over here, and there's a resistance over there, right? On their 30-minute charts, those carry very little weight relative to something like 50K. So I'm going to work with those major ones. That's really all I'm interested in, because again, I'm not day trading this thing. I'm looking for swing trades. So those are the levels I'm going to work with. Everything else, I'm going to consider noise. So that's how I'm going to judge this wave 4. Okay? So good question there. So again, don't get too wrapped up in the wave counts and the structures. It will drive you crazy. You just have to look at it from a very broad, general point of view. Excuse me. What carries more weight in these situations, even like Elliott wave aside, let's just take Elliott wave aside. Let's pretend we're not talking about any Elliott wave here. Support and resistance levels. Really, that's really the thing, okay, that you should focus on, the major ones. All right, so good question. Matt, And Matt from Chicago. Hey, Matt from Chicago. I'm looking to create a simple program to identify pin bars. Besides viewing the chart, do you have any concrete rules for makes? Well, look, I don't have the rules. I got my rules from Steve Nissen. So Steve Nissen is the guy that basically translated the Japanese candlesticks in the 1990s, and that's what we have today, right? So he has specific rules for pin bars. But basically, the basic rule is the open to the close is usually 1/3 of the tail. So the tail, like, so if you get a really long tail on a pin bar, like here, I'll give you an example. Something like, let me see if we could find one here, because again, these things appear randomly. All right, that's another thing you need to understand about pin bars. So here's like a bearish pin bar back here. You can see the open to the close is very narrow, and which is less than 1/3 of the entire tail, right? So that is a pin bar. The other thing about pin bars is they usually don't have an opposite side tail. They usually have a flat top. But those are specific to Steve Nissen. Just from my experience of using them, you don't have to use those rules exactly. The main part of the pin bar is the tail is longer than the open to the close. But if you find a candle like this one here, okay, like this one, you can argue it's pin bar like because it's got a long tail, but the open to the close is pretty wide, okay? That's definitely, it's almost 50% of the entire range. So while it's pin bar like, it doesn't exactly qualify as a pin bar. All right, so that's an important distinction. But what makes pin bars relevant is where they appear. Okay, it's not the pin bar itself, because pin bars, like I said, they can appear randomly. And you don't want to buy a bullish pin bar in a major resistance because it's meaningless. Okay, so anyway, thanks for mentioning. That's a good question. Let's see what else I got here. All right, so from London, nice, London, England. Okay, cool. I would do my British accent, but I don't want to offend you. Okay, Schwartz. Hey, Schwartz, good to see you. Mario, all nice people. Could it be a bull Elon trap? Well, look, Elon Musk may say stuff or whatever. I mean, there was some news the other day, from what I understand, that the country of El Salvador is now going to use Bitcoin as their currency or something like that. They're going to use Bitcoin as whatever. There's going to be news, okay? Don't worry about the news. If Elon Musk says something, don't worry about it, because Price knows things before people say things. Why is that? Because if a guy like Elon Musk is going to say something, do you think he actually comes out randomly says something? I just feel like saying something right now, so I'm going to go on Twitter and I'm just going to randomly say something. No, they're preparing. Okay, they've gotten long during all this sell-off, all these red candles. They were buying, not telling anyone, and then he comes out and says, "Oh yeah, buying, booking a Tesla. I'm going to take Bitcoin for all the cars we have, and blah 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 blah." Right, and now Bitcoin goes up 10,000 points. Right, so that type of price, that activity before he makes the announcement, the clues are often in the price action. You just have to know what to look for, right? So, for example, a failed low. If you look at, smaller time frames, this area here, that failed low, which we got long, right, at the break of that high, because that was a high probability location, and we got the candle. That could have been an area where they've been buying it. But does he come out and make that announcement there? No. Okay, no, of course not. Why would he put himself in that type of disadvantage? That type of situation, right? He manipulates the herd. He does it well. He knows, if anyone knows how a financial market works, it's him. Okay, from a psychological perspective. So you cannot go by talk. Do not listen to anyone. Don't even listen to me. Listen to Price, okay? Because Price is honest. Price tells you what's really going on, okay? And you just have to understand the hints. Right? It's not just about what Price is doing. It's about what Price is not doing. Right? A lot of these fake gurus that are out there, they're all focused on their RSIs and all this stuff. They're looking backward and they have no idea what they're doing. So they're all sitting there trying to predict stuff, and that's not really what this is about. It's about risk, because markets are highly random. Our job as a market timer is to try to isolate those times when markets are less random. That's the best we can do. All right, so that trade that we took was a perfect example of that type of situation. This is a less random location, and we got a pin bar, which made it even less random, okay? That's the type of situation we look for. We had to wait 3 weeks for that thing to show up. 3 weeks of no trades, right? I wrote in my TradingView article yesterday, if you are taking more than 1 or 2 trades a week, like I understand you can get faked out here and there, but that much opportunity does not exist on the swing trade time frame. All right, 1 trade in 3 weeks, that's a relatively slow market. So you have to adjust to the market. If you're forcing trades, you're never going to make money, okay? Because you're always going to be getting caught up in the random nature, which is what most people get caught up in. All right, so let me see what else we have here. So good question. Let's see. Hello from Paris. Oh, nice. Welcome. I think I learned from you a lot. Have not taken any trades after. Okay. All right. Okay. No problem. No problem. I mean, the market still has some settling to do, right? It's not settled yet. This a bottom might be in place, but there's not enough evidence to say that. And it doesn't mean we're not willing to take any risk. We took 2 swing trades in this, so we're willing to take risk, but our expectations are very realistic. Okay, and also our risk is not relatively high. We're not risking 10,000 points. That's ridiculous. But 5,000 is within reason. That's within reason from the market. We don't just come up with that number. The market tells us. Okay. Anyway, so good question. Or thanks for mentioning that. Schwartz, is it the moment to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum? Well, Bitcoin is the leader. Right now is not the moment. The moment was yesterday, and the moment was a few days ago. That was the moment for a swing trade, okay? And Ethereum is a follower. Ethereum is not a leader. As much as the fakes out there want to say it's a leader, Ethereum is still a follower. Let's go take a look at Ethereum real quick here. Where's my Ethereum? Ethereum is a follower. Follower, not a leader. Bitcoin is the leader. So whatever Bitcoin does, this will follow. Right. So as far as bigger picture, if you're talking about inventory, look, any price when it comes to inventory, price is not really the issue. What the issue is the size, right? Because you can buy at any price. If you're in an asset that's generally good, and that's not the case for most of these altcoins, by the way. These are not investable assets. Now, people will say, but my friend made $1 million that he bought a ton of this thing at, a fraction of a penny. And okay, that's nice. But those are, as I call, lottery tickets, right? So these are not investment grade instruments. You want an investment grade instrument that you want to build inventory in. You look at stocks like Intel. You look at stocks like Walmart. You look at stocks like Goldman Sachs. You look at stocks like Valero, Marathon Petroleum, high quality stocks that pay dividends. Okay, and they're strong business models. They're leaders in their industries. Those are investable instruments for the long term. These things are highly speculative, right? So Ethereum is now a good time to buy Ethereum. Well, if you believe in their project and all this and all that, and I know a lot of people do, then you take your small bites, okay? But the idea is to control it with size. You have to have a predetermined amount of money set aside for how much you want to invest. So I'll just say this real quick because I've said this many times. If you have $1,000, that's all you got, $1,000 to invest. You split that up into 10 $100 purchases. Now, that's 10 purchases you can make. So instead of trying to time looking at the price, because price is not really relevant, you just pick one day of the month. It could be the 1st of the month, it could be the 15th of the month, and you make your purchase. You buy $100. Over 10 months, you will have an average price. Okay, if your asset is truly a valuable asset and its fundamentals offer true value, then at some point, the asset will go higher and your investment will appreciate, right? But these coins, again, like I said, they're highly speculative. So if you want to do something like that, okay, but you don't want to do it with 100% of your portfolio. That's the key thing. So if you have $10,000 altogether, right, and you want to put $1,000 into this space, and you want to split it up like I just said, how much is that? How much is it? That's 10% of your portfolio. 10%. Not 30%, not 50%, not 100%, and even 10% is kind of a lot, in my opinion. But it's relative to your portfolio size, right? If you have 10,000, well, $1,000 is 10%. That's a lot. That's a large portion of your portfolio. If you have $50,000, $1,000 becomes a lot less, right? So you want to then, that becomes a little more realistic relative to a $50,000 portfolio. So you have to look at it that way. when it comes to inventory. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and talk about inventory the whole time, but those are some important considerations. I don't see any of these fake gurus talking about this stuff. I watched a few, these fake guru videos, and they just say, just keep buying more, just keep buying more. They don't talk about allocations, and they assume that these things are investable grade instruments, and they're not, right? And one of the reasons why I say that they're not, here, let's go back to Bitcoin. One of the reasons why I say they're not, and again, if you're going to pick these for that reason, pick the best. Bitcoin, the leader. Ethereum is probably number 2, as we all know, and maybe something like Litecoin or whatever, who number 3 is. Like, that's it. If you have some garbage coin that you just believe in for whatever reason and you want to put some into there, okay, fine. But like I said, you keep it within realistic allocations. People, they talk about these things like they're safe investments. One of the number one key facts that you need to know about why these are not safe is there is no oversight. There is no oversight. The SEC does not regulate this space. The NFA does not regulate this space. That's why Elon Musk can come out and say whatever he wants and the whole market pulls back, 30% or 50%. And no one can do anything about it because there is no oversight. He tried that with his stock a few years ago. He tried something similar with Tesla. He came out and said he faked about having a buyer and he was trying to manipulate the stock. The SEC knocked on his door and said, you can't do that, sir. Okay, so there's no oversight in this space. It's highly speculative. And you're at the mercy of the big players who can do whatever they want. Like Dogecoin, for example. Dogecoin, someone in our chat not too long ago had shared an important piece of information. I don't know if it's a fact or not, but said that 12 wallets control 50% of the coins. Why would anyone want to invest in something that 12 wallets control half of the coin circulation? You're at the mercy of their whim. If they want to get out and they dump it on you, guess where your investment goes? So that's why, I'm not a big believer in these things. Just like, look, the dot-coms 20 years ago, most of you probably were not involved in that time, but most of those stocks no longer exist, okay? A handful of them do. We don't know which coins will exist, but when there is more oversight in these things and there's more regulation, in the sense of like financial regulation with the SEC, then you can maybe argue that they have more investment merit, okay? Again, long-term, we're talking 5 years, 10 years. We're not talking, a couple of months or a couple of years or whatever. The other important thing about investment is, I'm not saying don't invest. I'm just saying treat them like penny stocks. That's how you should treat them. Okay, anyway, enough of that. I'm going to rant about that forever if I keep talking. All right, so let me see what else. I got more questions here. I guess I'm trying to get away with it because I don't have any TradingView questions here. That's why I'm able to focus more and rant for much longer periods of time. All right, so let me see what else I got. Just going back to the chat. Let me go back to the chat. Man, you gotta get me off these rants. I talk too much. Okay. Okay, so this is the mic. We're talking about the mic. Okay, Bart from Uruguay. Hi, Bart. Welcome. I know where Uruguay is. I want to ask if I can get a mentorship. I want to teach from the best. I want to teach from the best. Okay, I appreciate that, Bart. That's a good question. I don't have any mentorship things right now. I'm working on a program at some point, but when I have something together, I'll talk about it. But right now, I don't have anything to talk about. So thank you for asking. You are offline. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bart. Problems with TradingView. Okay. Okay, cool. The content is more important than the right, JH. Well, no, you know what? I agree. But it's just nice when you have decent sound. Okay, cool. This is from like an hour ago. Hack. I've been trying to explain clipping for a week now. Oh no, I understand the sound situation. I'm just trying to. I guess it's like the mic, like you said. So I'll get it fixed. It's sometimes I think I have the setting right, and then when I ask for feedback, people are like, "No, it sucks." All right, so I'm not a sound engineer. Okay, anyway, so let's see. CRSR. I sold half my position in half my options today. Should I sell all of them? Hamid asks. Okay, so let's see. CRSR. What is that? Let's see. Oh, okay, gaming. Oh, look at this. So you sold half, right? Where's this thing at? 36, and it obviously had a jump. Looks like some news. Consolidated for the longest time, right? So Obviously, some news came out. That's what that tells me. I don't even know what the news is. You sold half of your position. Okay, good move. Definitely a good move. You sold it into the spike. That's fine. So here's the thing. At this point, now I don't know why this candle draws red like that, but the thing is, in this situation, I would let it ride. You sold half, you locked in profit, right? And this is in a potential breakout. The question you want to ask about this is where's your next area where selling activity should appear? Okay, and that gives you sort of a point of reference to give it a chance. Like, where should you give it a chance to? This area. So what is that? 48.06. Okay, 48 even area. Right now you're at 35. So you got some room to play with here, and you've locked in profit. So you are a strong hand. Why not let it ride? Now, if you want a more specific market signal to tell you when to get out, then what you should do is wait for this thing to draw a bearish candle. Now, I know this candle is red, which again, it shouldn't be. It should be green. I mean, the thing is up $3.61 today. But what you want to see is a bearish pin bar develop, perhaps an inside bar, and then the low of that taken out. Those would be sell signals. Right now, there is no sell signal. All right. Also, another thing you can do is you can try using a manual trailing stop. And what I like to do is trail 2 candles behind, right? Excuse me. You only have 1 candle here. All right. So the second candle is much lower. It's back inside the range at $31. So that's kind of not very practical. So what do? You go to an 8-hour chart. Okay. So if we go to an 8-hour chart, you get a little more structure. Actually, no. All right. So you have to go to a 4-hour chart. Thing is, I'm looking for structure, right? And maybe this is why this candle is red. The candle is red today. But if you go 2 bars back, man, this news must have just, I guess it came out at the open there or whatever. This is, yeah, forget the trailing stop idea. You'll get stopped out. All right, so there's not enough structure for the trailing stop. But here's what I'll say. If tomorrow's candle can break higher, okay, then if you keep getting green candles, you just go 2 candles behind and put it manual stop below the low of the candle. Now, the advantage to that is if the market keeps going your way, you're letting the market pay you more. But at some point, the market will turn, and it will take you out at the low, at that higher low that you keep raising your stop to, which means you're not going to sell the top, but you're giving the market a chance to pay you more. So that non-top may be 10 points higher, okay? But the top may be, 20 points higher, and you may have to give some points back in the process. I mean, you're not going to get the top using a trailing stop. If you want to try to get the top, again, which is a gamble, then you put limit orders out there, at specific prices, like in this case, $50, because that's the next whole number. All right, because this thing's at 35 right now. So 40 and 50 are the next whole numbers, so you might consider that as well. Okay, so thanks. It's a good question about this one. Thank you for asking. Okay, let me see what else I got here. How am I doing with time? Okay, not too bad. Okay, can you look at SOL? All right, SOL, USDT. Again, if these are coins you want me to check, just please make sure you put USD or after it so I know. I don't want to talk about the wrong symbol for like 3 hours. All right, so this thing, like these coins are going to be following Bitcoin, right? None of these coins lead. Occasionally you get hype that might spark it a little further, but Bitcoin makes the decision, right? When it all comes, when everything is said and done, Bitcoin decides. Now, here's the thing about this. So right now, it's got the same situation as Bitcoin, okay? It's got the higher low, right? This is good, right? You have the little buy signals like Bitcoin. Now, one thing I can say about this is you do have this structure right here. You see that structure that I drew inside the rectangle around? That's a consolidation. Typically, those consolidations are trend continuation patterns, right? This trend is bullish, right? There's really nothing bearish about this. You have higher lows, higher low, higher high, higher low. So this thing in theory should go for the higher high, but Bitcoin is going to need to agree with that. If Bitcoin doesn't agree and Bitcoin goes back to 35K and takes out 30K, this thing will probably take out its range low. So you have to keep something like that in mind if you're interested in something like this. Again, I talk about this from swing trade, from the swing trade perspective, okay? So your support is defined at basically 36.25, and your resistance is defined by 43.5, right? And you're right in the middle of that. So taking a position here, again, you know, you're dependent on Bitcoin, number one. Number two, you could measure your risk. You need to justify that risk. This thing is at 39, basically 39 even. I'm going to round it, okay, to 39 even, which means you have to risk about 2.5 points to 3 points of risk, which means you need to make that to justify this thing, which means Bitcoin needs to continue to rally, right? So what is this high over here? I said, right, so 44.25 is the high. So you can squeeze out about 3 points if it can test that range high. So it's still within reason, okay? But that's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking at. And Bitcoin needs to agree, all right? So otherwise, I can't argue with the general structure. You know, if you want to wait for a higher probability or just better prices, then it might be better to just wait for the range low. Or if it could test somewhere near that, perhaps a slight higher low. Like if Bitcoin screws around and then kind of pulls back a little bit, you may get that higher low, which would give you a better buying opportunity relative to the risk that you have to take. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Good question about SOL. I imagine there are going to be a number of altcoins that are going to look similar to that. Okay, Noel from Mexico City, mucho gusto. If BTC is in wave 4, what about contrarian waves? Is it true that wave 2 was long? This wave 4 should be much shorter. Okay, NTL, that's a good question. Okay, so you're talking about when it comes to those like that variance variable. Let me go back to the 1440. When you're talking about like, there's a name for that. I can't think of the name. There's an Elliott wave term for that, where when wave 2 does something, wave 4 usually does like the opposite of it. So like you said, wave 2 was really elongated, wave 4 tends to be shorter. That's a tendency. There's not a rule, okay? So that's a possibility. So the way I look at something like that is, and wave 2 was very long, so you're correct about that. And it's possible that wave 4 is shorter. That tendency may exist, but I'm not going to bet on that, okay? I want to see other things that will align, that tell me that, you know, it wants to do something bullish or bearish. And then if that tendency aligns with it, hey, that's just another argument that'll give me more confidence in my position, right? If I'm in a long position and you know, wave 4 really starts to get its thing going and it starts to look like gold, you know, that gold situation that we have. See, gold, this leg up here, is most likely the first leg of a wave 5. Okay, this is most likely the beginning, but we have no confirmation. Okay, didn't stop us from taking a trade. We had a trade off of that 1720. My point is, you know, so Bitcoin can do something similar to that. Is gold out of its wave 4? There's no confirmation of that, but this could be the leg. So if Bitcoin starts to get things going, you know, that's what's more important, and we can make other judgments using other information. We don't have to get wrapped up in all the Elliott wave stuff. So again, that's a good question. I just can't remember the term that it's called with the wave 2 and the wave 4. But thank you for bringing that one up. All right, so it's a tendency. Jackie, I agree with you about trade. It's not what you can make on the trade, but how much you can afford to lose. Yeah, that is so true. That is very true. Okay, we were talking about that like an hour ago. I'm just catching up here. Okay, no problem, Matt. No problem. Ed. Okay, cool. Okay. Mario, oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Shubham. Hey, Shubham, good to see you. Okay, Dogecoin. Okay, I was just talking about that. I was ranting on that for a while. All right, so he wants to see Dogecoin. So look, here's the thing, right? Super hyped coin. We all know about it. Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. One thing I want to point out is, again, it's consolidating. There's a buy signal in it, okay, off that little pin bar situation. Just like Bitcoin. Not surprised. Dogecoin is not a leader, it's a follower. Bitcoin gave 2 buy signals. This thing is giving a buy signal. It's what it should do. It's a follower, right? So here's the thing. Like I said before, I don't like the general situation with this thing. It's too overhyped. There are too many retail traders that are sucked into this thing. Case in point, you had this rally right here, right? Gets everyone excited. I'm sure there was some chat room somewhere pushing this thing somewhere, getting everyone all excited, blah, 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 and then someone dumps it on you, okay? So can't go by this. You have a support that's in play right now, and that support is, let me see here. What does the chart say? It is 29 cents, right? That's the range low, just like we saw in SOL and a bunch of these other ones. They're all going to have like a common support. That's going to be that's going to coincide with like Bitcoin 33K or 33 half. And then you have this low over here at 24 cents. That's going to coincide with 30K on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can get its act together and can start holding above 40K, I think you get a move higher, right, in all these coins. So your reward risk at this point for Dogecoin is decent, because how much do you have to risk if you take a swing trade? Well, 29 cents is your low, which means your stop is going to be maybe 28 half, something like that. And there's plenty of bullish potential here, even just not even breaking out, just going back into the middle of the range, right? Which is what, 44 cents? So if you can get this thing, you know, let's say you buy it for 30 cents and you're trying to sell it at 45, 50 cents, something like that, and you're only risking, you know, so you're looking to make maybe 15, 20 cents and you're risking maybe 3 or 4 cents, that's good reward risk, okay? So that's, even if it doesn't work out, the risk may be worth taking, but Bitcoin is your leader, right? I can't say that enough times. If Bitcoin fails, it doesn't matter how many buy signals we look at here, they're all going to fail. So use Bitcoin as your guide, but reward risk is attractive. I'll give it that, okay? There's a lot of other hype problems with this one. Like I said, 12 wallets control 50% of the coin population, or the coin distribution, whatever you call it. I can't think of words today. And you have to keep that in mind, okay? So definitely not a good long-term one. All right, good question. Thorium from British Columbia, welcome. Could you take a look at Monero? Cool. Okay, I haven't heard from Monero in a while. Let's take a look. Monero. All right, so now Monero has been a coin that in previous time has been acting somewhat relatively strong. Of course, that could change, right? And that looks like what's going on here. It has the buy signal in it, just like Bitcoin. The buy signal was here at 251.5, basically. Risk can be measured at 232. You're looking at about 30 points of risk, okay? Something like that. The thing is, this thing is going right into this little minor resistance area. And again, it's dependent on Bitcoin, right? This is not a leader. Although it tried to be a leader, it's not a leader. So 282, that 282 area, this thing is at 268 right now. I don't generally like this, okay? Especially because Bitcoin is basically making its move, and because we're in from better prices on Bitcoin, we have the luxury of waiting it out and letting Bitcoin do its thing and then making adjustments from there. Here, if you buy this now, you don't have the luxury of being a strong hand, right? The buy signal, like I said, 251, if you're in from that price, you have the same luxury. It's the same trade. So I would hold off on this to see if you can get maybe a repeat of that price. Of course, Bitcoin will have to fail for that, unless you're willing to take that risk, all right, which is pretty wide at this point, and you're facing this resistance. And Bitcoin is also facing a resistance. You have to take all that extra risk, okay? And basically, you're taking off the hands off the people that bought it at those good prices. So this also, by the way, can turn into a lower high, all right? And you have to watch out for that. There's a lower high in place, and it hasn't proven itself yet. You have a higher low, but it's in one of those confusing situations. The other thing is, because that lower high is in place, that is basically a sign that this structure right here may still be in play, right? And that's the conflict that we have with Bitcoin as well, the bearish momentum. So they have yet to prove themselves. We were willing to take the risk at those certain buy points, and now we'll give it a chance. If we get stopped out, we get stopped out. We were willing to take the risk. It's up to the market now. All right. So the question that you have to answer is, are you willing to take the risk now at this point? All right. And a lot of coins are going to be in this situation. So thank you for asking about Monero. That's a good one. Okay. Generally, I mean, it's one of the better coins. Okay. Shubham. Once Elon said Tesla stock is too high. Yeah. He talks a lot. He likes to talk. Okay, Dave, hey, from the UK, another one from the UK. Hi, Dave, welcome. So Shubham, what's the best way to invest in gold and silver miners? All right, that's a good question. So Wheaton Precious Metals. This is a gold miner, right? So we saw gold got a little uncomfortable there, right? Stop this out. But the miners haven't really, this is really not much of a pullback. It's only minus 13 cents today. From the recent high, what was it, 48.93? To the recent low, 47.26. I mean, what is it, $2.50 or something like that? $2. Not a big deal, considering gold pulled back 50 points. So to buy into something like this is really more of an inventory type of situation. I mean, we've been buying this thing since the lows, okay? I mean, some people here can tell you, if you watch my previous streams from this time, I was talking about buying gold February, March, okay? And I still have my Wheaton. I haven't gotten out of it because I'm not really worried about these things. We're still in gold season. So as far as buying now, this is really a factor of inventory. So you take a small bite, right? So instead of buying 100 shares of this, something like this, because if gold for some reason breaks 1850 or 1840 and goes back to 18 even, which I think is a low possibility, but it can happen, then these things will probably feel a little more pain, right? The low on this thing is like 47 3/4, like that area right there. That's a support that it should not break. So what do? Buy 25 shares. This is an example, okay? Again, I can't give you investment advice, but you buy something like 25 shares if you can afford it, and if it breaks the support, you're prepared to buy maybe another 10 or 15 shares at the next support, right? You're trying to average into it. Is Wheaton Precious Metals a speculative stock? No, not exactly. I mean, the company is it's a streamer, right? They invest in gold mining stocks and all that stuff, and gold is doing well. So this is not a penny stock, is what I'm trying to say. But because of the location, it's not a good idea to put on larger positions. So like I said, 25 shares. If it starts to break, you can add more. And let's say your maximum target is to have 100 shares, okay? Then you could do 10, 25, then maybe another 10, then maybe another 10, then maybe another 5, right? Then maybe another 25 at a much lower price if it gives you that opportunity. If it never does, and you buy 25 now and it just breaks higher, hey, at least you have 25 shares. Maybe you buy another 10 on the breakout. Okay, that's how you handle something like that. You manage your risk with the size. So if things get out of hand, you don't have a position that's too big because you don't have to keep buying if it keeps going lower. Okay, which is an important part of that. Again, that's just an example. Okay, so thanks for asking, Shubham. And silver, I mean, silver's the same deal. Okay, same idea. I mean, look at AG, First Majestic Silver. It's the same deal. All right, same situation. So you can see the trade. I sent this trade out to our members, 3 months ago, 2 months ago. It's doing well. All right, so let me see what else we have here. Dave, any thoughts on AMC? From more than a chart perspective, are these synthetic shorts arguments? Okay, that's a good question. So synthetic shorts, a lot of talk about that. Look at this then, right? So AMC, GME, let's take a look at GME. How's GME doing? GME actually not doing so great. We had a trade in this, which actually we exited the third target. Okay, this was a trade of the week. We sent this out to all of our free members. Look at this thing, and we exited at 280, and this thing is now at 229. Nice, that one worked out. Okay, so to answer your question about this whole short situation, yes, these are short float stocks that they have a high short float. That's why they get these dramatic squeezes. On top of that, you have a lot of day traders that are on top of this. It pops up on their radar, and they all pile into it because they're all looking for movement, right? So in these situations, how do you deal with these? Well, for one, if you're not day trading, then you really should not bother with them, okay, number one. For two, if you do want to try to swing trade, then you need to wait for levels, right? Now, GME was a swing trade. This was not a day trade. We took this trade, just to give you an example, because it's relative to AMC. We took that day trade on this breakout. I'm sorry, swing trade on this breakout here. And it took that, we sent out the trade a week before the breakout. So it took an entire week before it broke out. And then eventually it went to all three targets. That was a swing trade, right? Meanwhile, all the day traders were piling into it, helping us get out of our targets. So, back to AMC. Yeah, if you're not day trading this, definitely can't touch it at these prices. You need to wait for a support at this point. If I was going to take a swing trade with it, and that's at 39.72. All right, right now, and that's the only thing I would do. Otherwise, this is a place to get out. This is a place to sell, lock in profits, and distribute risk while you have the opportunity. Okay. And are these synthetic shorts arguments legit? Yes, they are, because these are highly shorted, and that's what makes them wild. Because if hedge funds and institutional investors have big shorts and all the retailers pile in, which is basically what they've been doing, they squeeze out those hedge funds because they get margin calls. Right? That's the whole idea behind them, which is a very clever idea. It's really nothing more than the herd mentality, but it's flipped on the institutional. The institutional ones are the ones getting squeezed here. It's usually the retail trader that's being worked by the institution. So it's interesting anyway. Shubham, okay. So Dave, it's red because it closed below its open. Okay. Oh yeah, talking about that one before, right. Hamid, okay, no problem. Shubham, which stock will get squeezed next? Well, again, that's a question about which stock is going to get hyped next, right? This AMC and GME and a bunch of these other ones, you know, they're going through all the statistics. They're trying to find these high short floats, and then they start hyping them in chat rooms, right? Or they whatever the technique is, what they use, and that's, you know, you can't go by that. You cannot trade on that. Right? That's why you're better off waiting for levels and letting the chart tell you what to do than trying to chase hype. You know, you got people that's all they try to do is they go after the hype, and that works randomly, right? Or unless you're the hyper and you're in the one who's spreading the hype in the chat room, then of course you decide which one goes next, right? That's what they do. So that's really more of a day trader arena. So thank you for asking. All right, let's see what else we got here. Shubham, Bitcoin, okay. Right, and his daddy is eligible Elon Musk. Hey, he likes to manipulate the markets. And look, the guy was one of the founders of PayPal. What is PayPal? You know, it's a banking and financial company. They move a lot of money around. If anyone knows anything about how money works and markets work, it's him. Okay. Can you take a look at Luna? Okay, Bart, sure. Luna, Luna, LUNA USD. Again, I appreciate everyone's questions, and I apologize to the TradingView community. I know maybe there's some people here from there. I got to fix that. What a mess. I really apologize for that. Okay, so Luna. All right, so here, this is an interesting situation. Now, you know, if Luna USD was a stock, I would be very interested in this. You know why? That's a nice consolidation, and I'd be looking for the consolidation breakout, especially after such a long bullish move, right? And then it pulled back, and now it's trying to give us that higher low. The problem is it's not a leader. It doesn't trade on its own. So here's the thing. Is the risk reward, if you want to look at it from just a risk reward perspective, then here's what you can do. You can say, all right, well, how much do I have to risk if I get involved in this? The low is 489, okay? That's the low of the range. Now, of course, it needs Bitcoin to do its job. And the high of the range is 7. Basically, we're going to round that to $8. Okay, it's not exactly 8, but we're going to round that to 8. If it can break out, you have yourself a little breakout trade on your hands, right? But like I said, it's not a stock. Why would I be excited about this if it was a stock? Because stocks that trade on their own, this type of consolidation means there are a lot of traders that get caught on one side. Okay, so when that one side breaks, the other side that's wrong, they have to get out. And that's why you get such a movement. That's why you get like a breakout like you do. Okay, kind of like that GME trade. So, but this is not a stock, which means whatever Bitcoin does, no matter who's on what side, it's just going to do what Bitcoin does anyway. Okay, but I do like the consolidation. I do like the potential idea for a breakout. So if you want to take that chance, and you want to take the chance that Bitcoin does break out your way, hey, I mean, you don't have to take a lot of risk here, relatively speaking, okay, relative to this structure. Just make sure that you size properly. You know, I could sit here and I can tell you, oh, you don't have to take a lot of risk, and then you take a huge position, and it goes against you a little bit because you're using leverage, and then you wipe out your account, and then you say to me, but you said I didn't have to take a lot of risk. Well, position sizing is part of the deal, okay? I don't talk much about that here. But anyway, make sure you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, again, I have to say this is for educational purposes only. I don't want people taking ridiculous positions because I say the risk isn't too high. Okay, okay. Let me see here. Okay, hold on. Morris from the Philippines. Nice. I don't think I've ever had anyone from the Philippines here for. Welcome. And following you from TradingView and watch your videos there. Can you check front? Sure. Okay, yeah, again, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people on TradingView like, what happened? I know, technology, you know, I'm really unhappy about that. I have to fix that. Okay, so front BUSD, hold on. Front BUSD. How am I doing with time? Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Let's take a look at front B. Is this front B? Front, is that, let me see, make sure okay, here's front BUSD on Binance. Okay, that's a clearer chart right there. All right, so look, front, I'm not familiar with the coin. Obviously, it hasn't been doing that great relative to Bitcoin because, Bitcoin had a nice pop. Now look, you have the potential double bottom. You do have a buy signal in this, okay? So if you, this thing is just, here's what I don't like about it. I don't like all of this, okay? Because it should be doing better than that. But look, if you believe in whatever it is they do and you want to give this thing a chance for a swing trade, it's 86 cents. So you can take risk based on basically 70 cents is the low there. Perhaps 60 cents, you want to give it a little room. But this thing, you have a double bottom, okay? You have this attempted breakout, which is giving you a bearish pin bar. So that's not exactly that good, but the buy signal is in play. So again, this obviously needs Bitcoin. It popped along with Bitcoin. It needs Bitcoin to follow through. Your resistance here is $1.30, all right? And it was almost there today. What's today's high? $1.14, all right? And this thing pulled all the way back to 86 cents. So this thing is that's a big move for such an inexpensive coin. So just something to keep in mind there, right? This is obviously not the best choice compared to some other ones, but you do have, again, you do have the double bottom, you do have the buy signal, you need to clear that resistance. It follows Bitcoin. So, something like this, again, don't lose sight of Bitcoin. It may work out, but if Bitcoin starts to fail, this thing can quickly take out that support. So highly speculative, okay? Something to keep in mind there. Your first resistance, like I said, is $1.40. Needs to clear that if it's going to start going anywhere, all right? So again, I wouldn't go crazy with something like this. So thank you for asking. It's a good one. I'm not familiar with Front B. Okay, Don, rule of alternation. Thank you, Don. Thank you. That was the thing between the relationship between wave 2 and wave 4. Alternation. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, JH. Okay, thank you. If 2 is sharp, 4 will be flat. Right. And again, that's a tendency. So when you said rule of alternation, it's actually tendency. It's not a rule. It's a tendency. It's an important distinction with Elliott wave. Elliott wave, when it comes to like impulse waves, there are only 3 rules, right? Things that need to happen in order to define the structure as it is, right? So there are rules, and then there are something called tendencies. So just make sure you know the difference. So thank you for mentioning that, though. Okay, Shubham, what do you think of Dogecoin will be Amazon of like? That's a good question. Amazon, like I always bring this up, that's probably why Shubham is mentioning Amazon. No one knew 20 years ago that Amazon would be over $3,000 a share. No one was talking about it. None of the experts on TV were saying, Amazon is going to be $3,000 in 20 years because, trust me, I know. No one, okay? So it tells you one thing. No one knows. Experts don't know, especially the ones you see on TV. So my point is this. Dogecoin, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It's a lottery ticket. There's no way to know. So, a small percentage of these coins are probably going to prove themselves, right? That's just the nature of a random distribution. There's going to be a small portion of the entire distribution that will outperform the rest, right? And the average, and the ones that you're going to have a portion that just completely vanish, right? They're going to just be delisted and whatever. And then you're going to have your average that just kind of do your average, right? Which is going to be the majority of them. So if the average means they're all going to fail, then that's your average, right? So you have to look at it like that. There's really no way to know unless you're an insider and you have inside information on what they're working on or why they should outdo Bitcoin or whatever it is, but you really truly need to be an insider. Like Elon Musk needs to call you up himself and tell you, this is our plan, don't tell anyone. Okay, and if you have that kind of information, then okay, that's much more usable. But if it's some fake guru that's just blindly optimistic and just reading news off of Twitter, which is what some of these guys are doing, there's no way to know. Okay, so thanks for asking. Okay, let's see what else we have here. The scammer just likes to hear my rants. I had a lot of rants today, scammer, so I'm sure you got your earful there. Okay, Mr. Plowking. IOTA never took out 20. Okay, is it going to zero? That's a good question, IOTA. Okay, so let's take a look at IOTA. So this is, again, IOTA is one of those, like, yeah, they have this big exciting project and this and that. Meanwhile, it never went to its 2017 high. Let's take a look at that real quick. So That would be, let's go to the weekly chart. And a lot of these altcoins, a lot of them are in a very similar situation. So this is the 2017 high. And what was it, like $6, $6.50? And we went nowhere near that on this move, nowhere near it. What does that tell you, right? It's basically a lower high. A lot of these things were just hyped, and a lot of people are caught from that February, March peak. A lot of people, because they listen to fake gurus on YouTube who tell them that this is the next coin, and this is the next coin, and this is the next coin. Why didn't any of them talk about the risk? Not one of them back in February was saying, well, in a couple of months, we're going to be pushing a low. Not one of them. So is it going to go to zero? I don't know. But for the longest time, as you can see, it was almost there, right? It was almost, it went pretty back to these, for that 2 or 3 year lull. You may see something like that again when these things go out of play. So that's what I mean about garbage coins. Great idea, yet to prove it, right? Yet to prove it. So, the chart is not going to really help us when we're trying to figure out where these things are going to be 5 years from now. Charts aren't really going to help us. That's really more of a fundamental question, and you really need to have a really deep understanding of the space. And also, it's not just understanding, right? Because there are plenty of developers out there, programmers, that they understand the value of the projects, but it still doesn't matter. So how do you know? You don't know. They're lottery tickets. That's the best way to treat them. Lottery tickets, right? Like I said, unless you're an insider and you know the guy that invented the coin, and he tells you personally, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and we should be able to beat Bitcoin because of this, and no one knows, which means it's not priced into the market, right? That's the only way. So even these founders of these coins, a lot of them, they just know they're just milking everyone. They know their coin's going nowhere, but people pay for their coin, right? So it's a lottery ticket. It's a nice opportunity for them to pull money from everyone else. And there's no oversight, there's no regulation. These are not investable assets. So you give your money to Dogecoin, or you give your money to IOTA or whatever, you're just paying the developers. Really, technically, you're making their coins appreciate. And they have tons of coins that they can just dump on the market because that's their incentive to do the work that they do. Anyway, okay, so that's another rant for you there. Dave, thanks for the answer on AMC. I bought a few dozen at 13. I'm just sitting on it 500% profit and trying not to get swept in the okay, Dave, well, that's cool. I mean, that's great. You got some AMC cheap. I mean, hey, in this situation, back to AMC, like I said, the day traders are helping you out here. There's nothing to do. Let this thing ride. Now, one thing you should do, I don't think you mentioned about taking any profit. Okay, you should. It's always a good idea. Now, I'm not telling you have to do this, but it's always a good idea to take something off the table. If you have a 500% profit, it's not a bad idea to lock something in. So, I don't know, you said you have, what you mentioned? You bought a few dozen at 13. Okay, a few dozen. So let's just assume that's, what's a few dozen? 2,400 shares? Let's just say 2,400 shares. Okay, it's not a bad idea to maybe take 10, 20% off the table, lock it in while you have the chance, right? When something is usually in your favor like that, it's just never a bad idea. That's all I'm saying. And then you let it ride and you let the rest of it work. Because if you let greed step into the picture, and this happens all the time, you say, I'm going to sell this thing is going to go to 50, and I'm going to make all this money, and then next thing you know, it goes back to 10. I should have sold it at 25. I could have, right? That's the situation. So what do? When you have a profit, you take something off the table. You don't try to squeeze 100% out at the top, because no one knows where that is. At this moment, that's a strong candle. Let the thing do its job. But at some point, if it turns, you'll have more choices since you're such a strong hand. I mean, what's this thing at? This thing's at $56, right? So just lock something in is all I'm saying. It's not a bad idea. Okay, anyway, it's a good habit, I should say. Okay, Shubham. They say institutions will lose. Okay. I mean, and plus, this is a comeback play, right? Because now people go back to the movies and all that other nonsense. Okay, Bart, no problem. Is day trading more harder than swing trading? Okay, Shubham brings up a very interesting question. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more and I'm going to wrap up. I appreciate everyone. I think there's no more questions anyway here. Okay. Tunisia, nice. Best content. Oh, I appreciate that because there's a lot of fakes on TradingView. Okay, anyway, I could say that now because I'm not on there. My stream got cut off. Okay, so Shubham asks, is day trading harder than swing trading? Yes, 1,000% harder. The reason is to day trade, you have to be very nimble and you have to be able to adjust to things very quickly. And you need to have your risk very well defined and it's constantly changing. When you day trade, it's very easy to get confused by a lot of things. So you really need to focus on the right information and you need to be able to have the confidence to get out when you're wrong quickly, meaning taking small losses. That's where people go wrong. They don't want to lose. So they're like, oh, I'm in this trade. Oh, it's a little against me. I'll just hold it. And then it turns into a huge loss because you're taking day trade risk and then you're mixing it with swing trade risk, right? When you don't respect your stop or you don't get out where you should. Or the other problem is trading too much. So there's a lot of noise on the smaller time frames. You really need to be very specific on how you filter that out. So yeah, it's 1,000 times harder. I do not recommend day trading to anyone that's been doing this less than 5 years. Really, you shouldn't. I know a lot of people do it. There's a lot of day trading gurus out there. They have all types of training programs that they want thousands of dollars for. And yeah, they teach you some stuff. But they can't teach you the experience that I just told you. They can't teach that to you in a month or two. What they say is, well, I'm going to teach you my special strategy. I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to teach you that. And then they sell you some kind of dream. And you're like, oh, yeah, in a few months I should be able to make this kind of money and blah, 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 blah. It's not like that at all. Okay? They're just trying to sell training. It's very, very hard. Okay? And it takes a long, long time to understand what I'm talking about. It took me a long, long time. Okay? And that's how I started. So, yeah, swing trade and investment is much easier. You're playing bigger picture. It's a lot less stressful. You can manage risk in much easier ways, and you don't have to get caught up in all the stress and all the nonsense that goes on intraday. So for less experienced people, that's why we have a swing trade signal surfer. There's no way I can even get day trades out fast enough. Okay, it's a very involved thing, and I see a lot of videos out there, and there's a lot of, like I said, gurus and this and that, and they make it look easy. Okay, and they're like, oh yeah, all I have to do is press a button and blah blah blah, and it's so easy, and this, and you can do it too. It's hard. It's very hard. It's the hardest way to do it. I don't recommend it, especially for newer people. Okay. Also, you have to have some money. It's very hard to do with, you're not going to really do it with 10K. All they say, you can have an offshore account, and you can do it with the offshore account. Yeah, right. You have to pay these ridiculous fees and all this other stuff. Sure, you can do it, and you can get around the pattern day trading rule. But really, if you don't have a decent amount of money, don't even waste your time, because you're better off swing trading or investing anyway. It's a much better use of your capital. Okay, so no problem. So thanks for asking, Shubham. I could rant about that for hours, so don't even get me started. All right, let me see. I always blow my mind how few people watch these streams. Well, Dave, yeah, I'm not very popular. Okay, people don't like me. You want to know why? Because I talk about reality too much. No one wants to hear reality. People want dreams. People want hope. People want lies. That's what they want. I watch lots of videos. I watch them to see what these gurus are pushing. I'm expecting, when I see 5,000 viewers on a video, I'm expecting good quality stuff. I mean, okay, yeah. I'm watching the video. What's this guy talking about? How does he have 5,000 views watching him live? Because he's selling a dream. He's selling hope. He's selling hype. Nonsense. That is what the herd wants. And these marketers, they know how to appeal to the herd. I don't do that. I do the opposite. That's why I'm unpopular. And that's okay. That's cool. I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna lie just because I know more people want to be lied to. I'm not gonna sell hype and hope because I know that's what appeals to the herd. I'm not gonna do that. I was that kind of information was pushed on me for years and years, and I always knew there was something wrong with it. And people would say, "Oh no, just listen to this, just listen to that." No, it's garbage. Most of it's garbage. Okay, and only now I can see through it now, like in an instant. But with people with less experience, you're not going to be able to see through it. You're going to buy into the dream because the marketers know. They know how to sell that dream, and they do it well. They do it really well. Okay, and there's a lot of little tricks and techniques that they use to try to make that dream seem real. Anyway, okay, I'm not going to rant on that. But thank you for mentioning that. that's just the way it is. Okay. I mean, another case in point. Fundamentals are really what sell. Look at Cramer. Okay, Jim Cramer. Now look, I'm not saying the guy doesn't know what he's doing. I won't call him a fake guru. I won't call him that. But what does he push on his channel on TV? Fundamentals. He doesn't talk about charts. Not really. Occasionally they'll show a chart here and there. But he pushes fundamental stories. Why? He's a journalist. He knows that fundamentals sell. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear a good story about their stock. And then he makes it funny and dramatic and sound effects and entertaining. It's financial entertainment. And look, he's a top financial journalist, whatever. Okay. Anyway, okay. So so I have another question here. INPX. Okay, so I'm going to do INPX and then I'm going to wrap this up. People want the illusion that gold will right, Shubham, and that's exactly what it is. There's a lot of illusions, and it's the herd mentality. This herd mentality, by the way, it's human nature. It doesn't change. Okay, there's instances of it in financial markets going back to like the tulip bulb madness. There's instances of it all over the place throughout history. This is nothing new. It's human nature, and marketers know how to capitalize on that, especially now today with the speed of information. Okay, so INPX. This is a stock, I guess. Okay, it's a cheap stock, $1.24. Okay, look, not too bad here. You have you're breaking these resistances. They've been broken. So that's a change. Okay, a change in the structure. You have a little mini higher low here at $1.22, and it's going for the high, right? Trying to break out. Okay, so in this situation, this is kind of tight to measure your risk off of $1.17. When this thing's at $1.24, that's a little unreasonable. So a stop on something like this would have to be placed at basically below $1. Okay, and you're looking for the breakout, and you're hoping that this thing you can make 20 or 30 cents on the next leg higher, and you're going for that breakout move, right? That's what you're going for here. I mean, obviously, look where the stock came from, right? The stock was obviously a lot higher. So there's nothing here that says that the range will break out successfully. You're just betting on it. Okay, and obviously it's a cheap stock. Usually stocks that are cheap like that are cheap for a reason. Okay, so just a few things to keep in mind. But that's where I'd measure risk from. And trying to make 50 cents, maybe $1 would be a reasonable bet on something like that to see if it could try to test that higher part of the range. But I wouldn't look for anything crazy. I wouldn't be looking for $5 out of this, especially after the movement that it's showing on this chart. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you all very much for taking the time to listen to me here today. I appreciate all the likes. I appreciate the compliments and the great questions. Again, I apologize for the TradingView thing. I don't know what went wrong there. I got to fix that. Again, technical problems. But I stream every Monday. I stream again during the week. Well, so we have Talking Markets tomorrow with Andrew and Henry. We usually talk a little bit more on the fundamental side of things on that show because that's what they like to talk about. All right. But anyway, so I appreciate again all your great questions. I hope I was able to provide some valuable insight. And again, join me next time. For my next one. Hopefully, I'll have my TradingView situation figured out, and I can answer some more questions there. So I'll leave you with Bitcoin again. Like I said, let the market do its job. Okay. You don't want to try to react. You want to anticipate and let the market give you information first. Okay, and in this situation, like I said with Bitcoin, the market needs to do its job here, and we'll see if it can give us any adverse information to adjust to. Okay, so with that being said, thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your night or the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world, and thank you for watching.